What's up, everybody? So today we're going to talk about the design process.
The design process is the way that your team goes from having a problem or a thing you need your robot to do, and then creating it, and then repeating this process.
The first step is to identify the problem.
So the problem can really be anything. When you're starting out a competition, the problem is just going to be, how do you solve the competition?
What are your constraints? What are your parameters? Let's talk about like the robot size. It has a certain size limit that it has to stay within, right? The materials you use. Don't use your coffee beans. Don't do that.
Cost. For a lot of teams, it's a huge issue.
Budget.
You can't afford everything, so you got to make sure it's reasonable.
The number of motors you have, number of servos,
very true.
all that stuff.
Then you go to brainstorming. So that's where you really come up with all these ideas, like, do I need a rev motor? Should I get an anti-mark motor for this?
This is where you go online on YouTube and you're not afraid of copying anything. You're not afraid of creating anything on your own. You look outside, maybe into nature, and look at what some animals do and try to mimic those.
Yeah, this is like a whole team process. One person shouldn't be brainstorming by himself. They should be with other people, bouncing ideas off each other, trying to decide what's the best course of action.
For sure.
And next step is diagramming.
Diagramming everything, sketching it out. It's your blueprint for what's to come.
As you see, there's a few different ways you can go at this. Some teams swear by CAD. All they do is like make all the members learn it and become efficient with it, and they just CAD everything. That has some upsides and downsides. What do you think?
Well, one thing, it could take some time.
Oh yeah, CADing takes a long time.
Takes some time, you know.
But the upside is you have a perfect plan for how your
perfect plan. It's a complete robot. You just gotta make it in real life.
Yeah, and there's no like, oh, this screw's here, so it really wouldn't fit, but you already know that.
In some CAD programs, you build a whole robot, right?
Yeah.
But then it'll create like the instructions where you just print out and be like, hey, okay, I need this piece, right? Step number one, I need to put this here. All that kind of stuff. That will be done in some CAD programs.
So, but if you don't want to use CAD, maybe you're a new team, maybe you don't have anyone experienced with it, no big. Then you want to draw in diagrams.
Yeah, pen and paper is always there.
Yeah.
It's still there. So don't be afraid to use it. And we gotta make sure all this stuff, all the diagrams, everything, this whole design process, make sure it's always in your notebook.
Yeah, document it. Document.
Yeah, pictures, notes, anything.
Trust me, when it comes down to like the day before the meet and you need like your notebook, these are the kind of things that judges look for every single time.
100%. Yep. All right, you finished diagramming it. Now it's time to create it.
This is where you take your best minds, your best builders.
Yep.
You take the diagram and you're like, all right, let's assemble.
Avengers! Assemble.
And that's where you build, and then you test it out. Time to analyze.
Most important part is analyzing it. You have to look constructively and say, how can we fix it?
Right. What went right? What went wrong? What can I keep? What can I eliminate? Stuff like that.
And then you repeat. You know, you always have more problems to solve.
Yep. Next problem. Fix it. What can I do about it? All right. Let me take some notes. Let me write this down. Okay. Let me create it, and then let me test it out again. So we've actually had a lot of experience with what to do and what not to do. Following the design process is really important, and that's why we're really stressing to use it this year. So some things that we did not do as well last year were we might have been a little bit close-minded. We didn't really use our resources as well.
Yeah. When you're brainstorming, you gotta make sure that you explore everything. It's not a time to limit your ideas, but really to expand what you think is possible.
Planning from the start, that's really important. You don't just start building. What are you gonna build? You gotta draw it out, you know? You gotta have that plan from the very beginning and finish that plan. You can't just start randomly at the building phase.
Follow the process, don't skip ahead, and like don't skip straight from brainstorming to building, which is what we did way too much.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Joel Embiid.
Like to say?
Trust the process.
There you go.
So number one rule, trust the process. Too many teams, they're starting out, they think they can just skip ahead, go straight to the building and win worlds. Like,
That's not how it works.
that's not how it works. You have to trust the process.
Number two, don't be closed-minded.
Don't try to constrict yourself to what you've seen other teams do. Especially, don't try to constrict yourself to what you've done in the past. Like try to look for new ways to build new robots.
All right. And then the third step, remember the big picture.
Yeah. So when you're building a robot and you have all the parts, you have like the metal shafts for building the frame and everything, and you have the wheels on the motors. But then last minute you're gonna realize, oh shoot, how do we get the wires through?
Yep.
Or oh shoot, the wire isn't long enough to reach to this. Or this something would scrape the ground as we're driving. Like you can't forget about stuff like wiring, electronics while you're building out the main base of your robot.
Right.
So follow these 3 things, and your team will be set for building anything you guys want.
Yep. And don't forget the design process.
All right. This was Sad Discharge, episode 4 of our FTC 101 for Dummies. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.